Hey traders, welcome back. I wanted to give you another update for our 2023 performance of one of our strategies. Actually take you through the first couple of months of 2024 as well, so you got a little bit more of a data set to work off of. And this is on our scalping approach. Okay, let's get into it, guys. So we are looking at talking about scalping today. So we've gone through so far our 2023 results for our undefined risk credit strangles. We've talked about everything that we did there. You've seen our results. They were, by and large, pretty darn good. And so we've expanded that a little bit this year. We've gone almost 250% more on our trades. We've almost tripled the number of credit strangles that we're doing. Today, I'm going to talk to you about scalping. And scalping's been an interesting area. It's a trade that is really near and dear to my heart. And I'll talk about this a little bit when we get into the pros and the cons of scalping, and maybe it will apply to you, maybe it won't. But scalping has always been something that's been important to me, and so we'll get into it. One thing to always remember on all of these strategies that we use is that one strategy is never going to be a panacea. There is not one setup that is going to just kill it for you all the time. The market is too dynamic in that, and so this is not necessarily a training video per se for our scalping program. I'll direct you to our website if you want to get the training video and see what indicators we use and how we scalp and how we set them up. Is just really a performance report so that you can see if it's something that may be of interest to you or not. But remember that no setup is a silver bullet, and it's really important to have what we call a model portfolio or a diversified mix in terms of what you're doing. I'm looking at our model portfolio today right now, and we're doing really, really well. Yeah, I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions that are hurting us today, but yet my net lick is up. So obviously that's not going to be every day, but that's sort of the idea. Make an effort to be broadly based in your strategy. So if you do want to see a training video about the order flow indicators that we use with scalping, if you want to see how we do it and how we set up a trade and what it looks like, you can go to tryscalpingnow.com. We've got a training video on the website there. But the goal with our scalping is to make $500 to $1,000 a day. And that's pretty enticing for a lot of people. Now you can obviously adjust that, you can change that, you can reverse engineer that for yourself to whatever you want. If you got $10 million to go scalp with, you can probably do better. But this seems to be the number that most people are comfortable with. And so our goal with scalping is to make about $50,000 a year of income off of about $5,000 of capital. Back in the day last year when we sort of put this out and said, hey, here's what we're trying to accomplish, here's what we want to do. Not a lot of positive reinforcement on the social media, on YouTube and on Twitter. A lot of people just saying, you're crazy. Like, that's just not going to happen. And to be honest, when we started this back in July, we didn't know if it was going to happen. We've had to do some tweaking and refining. We still are doing some tweaking and refining, and hopefully we never stop that. Hopefully we're always seeking to improve what we're doing. But we thought it was there was a realistic shot. We didn't know necessarily when we started this last year how many contracts we would need. We were trying to reverse engineer it and say, okay, well, how much capital do you need to make $50,000 a year? What is the consistency rate? What's the win-loss ratio? What's all those kinds of figures? But this is the goal with scalping, is to make $500 to $1,000 a day. We do it twice a week, and we're trying to bring in $50,000 a year on $5,000 of capital. Okay. Now, one of the things, again, I say that no strategy or setup is a panacea. There's nothing that is the end-all, be-all. And so scalping is no different. Now, we started 2023, January of 2023, scalping the futures contracts, and that's fine, but it took probably $20,000 to $30,000 to do that. And not everybody has the internal fortitude or just the constitution to trade futures. It can be, it can whipsaw you, and it can be tough at times. So about mid-July or so, maybe late July, we switched to scalping the Q options, 0 DTE options on the QQQ. And that created a whole new dynamic for us. So some of the pros of scalping just in general. Let's talk about just some of the advantages to integrating scalping into your trading life. The results lie solely with the trader and not the market. I think that's huge. It doesn't really matter what the market does. With scalping, it's on us as a trader to manage that trade and get our entries and exits where we want them to be. So I remember starting to scalp, and I trudge out to my little trading office, and my wife would say, well, how much are we going to make today? And I would always say, well, who knows? I mean, I don't know. But I know that it's on me. Like, I know that it's not on the market. No matter what the market does, that's not really relevant to me being able to make money as a scalper. So I like that aspect of scalping. The other thing is that every day is an opportunity to earn. So we will get into our ladder trades here and our 2023 performance with our ladder trades in one of our next videos. We have 4 ladder trades that we trade every week. And one of them is on the DIA, the diamonds, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And for most of the year last year, we joked that the DIA trade that we were doing, we had made a pact with the devil because it was picture perfect week in and week out. It worked every week. We were just ramping up the profits week after week after week. And we said, again, jokingly, that we had made a pact with the devil because every time it got close to getting in trouble or needing an adjustment, it would self-correct and it would bring itself right back in line. And I said, as the year progressed, hey guys, this trade is going to have challenges because at some point, because every trade does. Every trade does at some point. Please don't over position size. Well, mid-November of last year, the Dow took off like a rocket ship. And we have members, well, we had, I will use the past tense, we had members in our trading room that pretty much blew that trade up. They just pretty much blew themselves up with the trade. And I'd said over and over again, don't over position size, don't over position size. But it's natural when a trade does nothing but cash flow for you week in and week out to say, hey, I'm going to throw some more money at it. Well, the trade got in trouble. And it has been since mid-November that we've been chasing that trade. Now, our DIA trade today looks amazing. It's picture perfect. It looks absolutely fabulous. There's nothing we would change in that trade right now. Our maturity lengths on our ladders, the ROI, the risk reward ratio, the profits that we're bringing in, it's great. The DIA trade is back and it is picture perfect. But it didn't put any money in your pocket while we chased it, right? From mid-November of last year until just probably 3 weeks ago, we were chasing it and it's worked out fine. The trade looks great. The ROI is you're going to look at the ROI when we look at the DIA trade and you're going to be like, yeah, that's a good trade. People blew that trade up. There's people that left our trading room because they're just like, this is just the worst trade in the world. And I told them, hey, don't over position size. The trade's fine. But my point is that if you were depending on that trade to produce a weekly income for you and your family to live on, you went starving. You didn't make any money from mid-November until just a few weeks ago. And so that's not the case with scalping. Every single day you have the opportunity to earn. It doesn't mean that you will. It is still, again, dependent on the trader to get good exits and entries. But every day we've got an opportunity to start over. Okay, so I like that about scalping. To me, scalping is mandatory. In my opinion, if you're wanting to be a full-time trader, you want to be serious about trading, scalping is mandatory. And the reason for that is, again, I'll use the DIA ladder that we trade as a good example. This will happen where you'll get buried in a trade. The trade looks good. You're adjusting it. You're dynamically trading it. You're working it. It's improving. Everything looks good, but you're not cash flowing it. You're not at a point that you can cash in the trade, get your buying power back, and go out and find another trade. So when I started trading, I was much like all of us. I'm still that way, where I don't think any of us have enough money. All of us are looking for more capital. We all want more capital to go trade with. And so I'd get into trades, much like the DIA, where I'm like, well, the trade looks okay, but I'm kind of buried in it right now. I can't do anything. It's working. It's heading in the right direction. It's generating credits, and it's looking better and better, but it's not in a position where I can take a profit from it right now. And so my wife would come out to my office and she'd say, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm trading." And she says, "It looks like you're just watching YouTube videos. You don't see a lot of work going on here." I said, "Well, I've run out of capital. I'm fully invested. The trades that I'm in, I don't want to close. They're okay. They're still working. I don't have anything else to do. I just need to sit around now." Sitting around is not a productive lifestyle, even for a trader. And so I loved scalping because I knew that every single day I could go to work. Maybe the market's not going to cooperate with you that day, but every day you can go to work and you have a realistic shot at making $500 to $1,000 a day. Very high consistency. If you can manage the metrics, and for our metrics on the Q trades, we're trying to keep our losses to about 20 to 25 cents. That's hard to do. A lot of our losses on our take losses on the scalps are 40 cents. But if you can try to keep the losses low, I'm going to get into it down here in just a minute, talking about you got to be in it to win it. And just this concept of really what is the key to making money in scalping. It's a lot simpler than you think it might be, but it's a very, very high consistency trade. Yeah, we have losing days, but they're not very many, and they're very few and far between. And knock on wood, so far since July of last year, we've never had a losing month in scalping. So it can be a very high consistency trade if you can manage your risk. Better risk management opportunities than 0DTs. It is a little bit easier to manage. Now, I will say, just as a side note here on 0DTEs, if you're not trading event contracts, you should look at those, because those do have a little bit better edge than a normal brokerage account. But scalping is a little bit better from a risk reward perspective, I should say it can be, than a 0DTE. And then again, I like that idea that every day you're starting over. You're not getting buried in the DIA trade where you're like, well, I'm not going to, you got to decide to fish or cut bait. I'm not going to cut bait here because I can fix this trade, which we did. And the proof is in the pudding, right? People criticize trades all the time. I'm always like, wait until the trade is done before you criticize it. Wait until the trade is done. But scalping, you're never going to get buried. You're just going to start over every single day. So it gives you a fresh start every day. Now, some of the cons of scalping, it can be tedious. Now, I think that we fixed this. I think that we fixed the aspect of being tedious with the way that we trade the QQQs. In many situations, and I will use, today's Friday, March the 8th. So yesterday, let me grab our scalping results real quickly. Now, yesterday's not typical. They're not always like this. But yesterday we did two scalps. That's it. That was it. We were done in 25 minutes. We made $1,340. Okay. Now that's way above average. Some days you'll grind and grind and grind all day long. And that's where it can be tedious, is that you can grind out, trade after trade after trade, and you don't get anywhere. We had one a couple weeks ago on a Thursday that we traded all day long. And at the end of the day, we were down like $120. Like, we just didn't get any traction all day long. So it can be tedious, but the way that we try to set up our trades, you can be done with your scalping. Generally, we say 2 hours, but in a lot of cases, we're done in under an hour, the very first hour of the morning. It's not for everybody. It takes a lot of stoic equanimity. It takes a certain mindset and personality to be able to put a trade on and watch it tick up and down. Oh, now I'm up. Now I'm up $200. Now I'm down $200. Now I'm up $500. Now I'm back down $500. You have to be able to have an emotional constitution that works with scalping. Otherwise, you're going to give yourself a heart attack. And then one of the other cons is that some days it will be a complete waste of time. I can't count how many days I have made sure that I had some buying power set aside. I've made sure that my other trades are all okay and managing themselves, so I don't have to stare at them. I get my screen up. I'm ready to go. My plan is to scalp all day long. And the market just doesn't give you any price action. That happens sometimes. There are days that you will set aside to go scalp, and there's just no movement. And you have to be disciplined enough to be able to say, I'm not going to try to force it here. I'm not going to try to force trading in a market where there's not enough price action to justify it. Okay. So you will have days where you'll just be like, I'm going to have to pass today. I guess I'm not going to have an opportunity to make any money. That's just part of the process. Okay. But the real key to success that we found, at least with scalping the Qs is the way that we're doing it right now, is you got to be in it to win it. And I think we all would like to believe that we can use order flow indicators and divine where the market is going. Oh, the market's going up now. We got more buys than sells coming in. Let's go long. Market's going down now. We got more sells coming in than buys. Let's go short. I think, or in our case, we're going long in all of our trades. We're buying long calls or long puts. Yeah, maybe to an extent. Our consistency level is so high that, maybe I'll give us some credit and say that we are pretty good at divining order flow. But at the end of the day, really scalping is no more than throwing on a trade. Doing your research, trying to follow your order flow indicators and putting on that long call or that long put, but you just throwing on the trade and then managing the losses. If we happen to be wrong, don't let the losses get too big. Try to keep it to 20 cents. A lot of times we're going to 40 cents, but keep it in that range and then just keep throwing on the trades. And hopefully, at some point in the day, you catch a runner. Hopefully, I'm trading 17 contracts right now. Hopefully, you catch something that's, a 50, 60 cent move. You make your $1,000 for the day, you're done. So it's not really about looking for winners because those runners will come as the trading day progresses. It's just more about being in the trade at the time so that when that happens, you can capitalize on it. Okay, so that's kind of the pros and the cons of scalping. Here's our results from 2023, and I threw on our results for 2024 the first couple of months as well, just so you can kind of get a little bit bigger data set of how our results have gone. So we started in July, and I thought that we had started a little bit earlier in July, but it turns out we didn't. We started on 7/27, and I started with 2 contracts. And so we didn't have a lot of data in July, and we were starting with very small amount of money. Teeny trades, $600, $700 trades at the high end, $200, $300 on the low end. So not a lot to say for July. In August, we ramped up to 10 contracts, and it got a little bit better for us. In September, we ramped up to 15 contracts, and I thought that was where we were going to probably stick. So we're trying to reverse engineer this. We're trying to say, okay, how many contracts do we need to be scalping to be able to have a realistic shot at making $500 to $1,000 a day? And is that number realistic? So, if you get to a contract level where you're like, you got to scalp 100 grand. Yeah. If you get to a level where you're like, we can make $1,000 a day, but you're scalping with 100 grand. Does that really make sense? Right. So it took us a while to sort of fill out where we wanted to be on that. But we started with 15, or we moved up to 15 contracts, and you can see that dramatically changed our result from August to September. Now, October didn't look so good. I had one day, and it was on 10/19 that I had a $3,000 loss, and that was just all on me. It wasn't the market. It was just all on me. I just sat on the losing position way too long. So we're still learning, in this process. And being disciplined is always a battle, I think. November was a pretty good month for us. We still traded 15 contracts. December was a home run for us. We traded 15 contracts. But for that period of time, we brought in $18,450 of profit, or about $3,700 per month on average, or about $44,000 annualized. And, so it was at that point that we kind of said, well, I think that we're kind of on track. Obviously, July was not a full month, and July, August, and September, October, November, December, we were not trading as many contracts as we're trading now, but we felt like we needed to up it just a little bit. And so We did bring in, an annualized amount of 44,000. It's not our goal of 50,000. So we did switch in 2024 over to 17 contracts now. Now in July, we didn't have that great a month. I was traveling. I was out of the country. And so we only scalped a few days in January, but we brought in $2,300 in January. February, with the 17 contracts, a full month of scalping, we brought in $8,323, total of a little over $10,000, about $5,300 on average, about $64,000 in annualized profits. I think we're where we want to be now in terms of our contract size. Now, one of the things that I will say on this, we still have members that are scalping 1 or 2 contracts. So you don't need to go in with 17 contracts, which again is about $5,000 of trading capital. But I just wanted to reverse engineer it so that I had a consistent shot at making that $500 to $1,000 a day. I don't know what it is about that number, but if you tell people you can make less than $500 a day, they're not that interested. If you tell them that you can make more than $1,000 a day, they think you're lying to them. So that seemed to be the sweet spot. And I don't foresee for the rest of 24 that I am going to be moving off of 17 contracts. If anything, we might be moving up to try to, move from maybe $50,000 a year to maybe, $70,000, $80,000 a year potential income. But we're still a work in progress here. I don't think we have enough data set here to still feel comfortable with that. But again, the goal is $50,000 a year, trading with $5,000 of capital. We trade twice a week. We trade on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we put in about 2 hours a day on average. Some days we're done in 15, 20 minutes. Some days we're scalping all day long. So that's sort of the bottom line that we're looking for, trying to generate $50,000 of profit, trading with about $5,000 of capital. Yeah, sometimes that'll be a little bit more. Sometimes it'll be a little bit less. I was trading with $4,870 on Thursday when we made $1,340 profit. And again, it's probably on average about 2 hours a day. So 4 hours a week is our goal there. So a couple of takeaways. Again, you can't succeed until you've failed for a bit. This absolutely has been a work in progress as we have been building the QQQ scalping program. We have automated timestamps now so that your trades are immediately forwarded to you and you get an instantaneous report and result of what the trades are. So you always know where we're at in the trades. You do need to be a master of order flow. People talk about using stochastics and MACDs. None of that stuff works for scalping. It's all about order flow. So if you're not familiar with order flow and price action indicators, go to tryscalpingnow.com and we've got an overview on there for you. Okay. Does require discipline. You got to be disciplined on those take losses. You got to take losses quick. Keep the losses to 20 to 40 cents per contract. Spend the time to reverse engineer your daily income goals. So we have people that have said, good grief, if I could make $100 a day, I would be really happy with that. How many contracts would I need? So it took us 4 or 5 months to sort of get into the groove of how many contracts do I really need to be trading to give myself a viable shot at making $500 to $1,000 a day. And I'm at that 17 level. You will be subject to PDT rules. If you're scalping, you need to have an account that you're scalping inside of that is above 25,000 because obviously they're day trades and we do a bunch of them every single day. So you will be subject to PDT rules. You got to be aware of that. Now, again, it's not really scalping per se, but if you are below 25,000 and you are subject to PDT, I would check out our video on event contracts. They're not subject to PDT, okay? Those are more day trades. Those are more zero DTEs than scalping. But still, if you're looking to do daily price action and you're subject to PDT, event contracts could be a good way to go. You don't need as much buying power to do this. You can make a decent living scalping $5,000 with $5,000 of capital. You don't need $1 million to go do this. I would highly recommend if you are on Tasty Trade that you trade more than 10 contracts. And the reason for that is that they cap their commissions at 10 contracts. So your commission drag on your performance, whether it's a profit or a loss for the day, going to be a lot better absorbed if you are above 10 contracts. So I always encourage people, if they're at 8 or 9 contracts, I'm like, maybe try to stretch, move some capital from some of your other trades to 12 or 13 contracts, because it's going to help you efficientize, I like that word, efficientize, your effect of commission drag onto your account. And then the other thing too is, if you want to master a strategy that has a good shot at creating a daily cash flow, I would work on mastering scalping. Scalping helps you be a better trader in all aspects. All aspects. It can help you in all your trades because, again, it's really about managing risk. The bottom line in scalping is throw a trade on. Maybe you think the market's going up. Maybe you think it's going down. I don't know if you're going to be right or wrong. Throw the trade on. You can't hit if you don't step up to the plate. Throw the trade on and be really, really good at managing the risk if you're wrong. And eventually you'll catch those runners. Okay, that's the overall review. Again, if you want to get a little bit more detailed information, you can go to our website, tryscalpingnow.com. We're trying again to make $500 to $1,000 a day. We do it every Tuesday and every Thursday. We're in a live Zoom feed showing you the money flow indicators. We use an audible tick strike flow that gives you order flow that you can listen to. We have a cash register sound that goes off that gives you an audible notification when I do place a scalp. We're showing you the option screen, the number of contracts that I'm trading, the strike prices, whether it's a put or a call, instantaneous automated timestamps. You instantly get that trade in your inbox so you can follow along with what I'm doing. And it's a huge, massive investment in $95 a month. It's I don't know. To me, it's nothing. Like it's nothing to try that out. So I think you'd be happy with the results. I know we've been thrilled overall. All of our traders, if you get into our scalping room, man, the first thing I would do if you get into our scalping room is send out a message to everybody in the room. And don't take my word for it. Ask them. Ask them how our scalping is going. Ask them if these are real numbers. And you'll know instantaneously if this is something that you want to spend some time on. So anyway, that's our scalping results. We're pretty darn happy with them, I have to say. We're pretty much right on track for our income goals on scalping, and it's been a really successful thing for us. Now, the other thing that I will just mention quickly, if you are still interested in scalping futures, I would highly recommend that you go to wefundyourtrading.com. It's a prop fund that will give you money to trade with. And lately, they've been doing one-day evaluations. One-day evaluations. You just got to pass the eval test for one trading day, and they will split the profits with you 90-10. So they'll give you 100 grand, 50 grand, whatever level you sign up for after you pass the eval. And they keep 10% of the profits, you keep 90%. It's a great training vehicle. They have sales all the time where it is almost just pennies to think about to get started with them. Check it out. I think you'll like it. I've always told everybody, even if you're not interested in scalping, I would go sign up for their scalping, their prop fund trading funds, because the training through that process makes you a better overall trader in everything. So anyway, check that out as well. If you want to get in touch with me, you can always get in touch with me at scottstewartcontacts.com. All my ways to get a hold of me are there. And as always, guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you guys so much for the support that you have given me in my trading journey as a full-time trader. And I love connecting with you guys, and hopefully you guys are having a good trading week as well. So take care, guys, and we will talk to you guys very soon.